Well, actually, this is going to be part 2. I didn't expect it to last this long, or actually gonna take this long. Um, the last part, or the previous part, I was talking about how any person expresses his or her mind through what he or she says. Now, this is called the verbal communication. Besides that, or actually the larger part, is non-verbal communication, which is expressed through facial expressions, body language, the way how fast someone speaks, the tone, the pauses in between, is an indication of the inner mindset, which sounds a bit intellectual. It's not what I mean to say. It is a general state of well-being, or a lack of focus, a sense of restlessness, and whether how much a person is really present with his or her thoughts in what is perceived to be the now. It is quite remarkable that human beings are the only created beings that have a sense of the past that's going further back than a couple of days. It's going actually back in time, and it is able, the mind of a human being is able to anticipate on the future while living in the present. Even though this sounds like a linear time representation, I should say, it still is not linear in time. From a biblical point of perspective, because this is really my point of reference, the plan of salvation was grounded before the foundation of the earth. But by the time it came to its fulfillment at the death of Yah'shua Messiah, all kinds of special happenings or situations around ancient Hebrew Israelites were actually pointing towards this global important sacrifice. I would even go as far as a universal happening, a universal point in time that is not merely a point in time of about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which would have been the 9th hour on the pre-Sabbath day, which is the 6th day, what we now call Friday. Everything in our reality was not, however, centered around this point in the human history. Yet when we read scriptures, everything is centered around this point, and is still around this point in history. If that is the case, then how does it affect each and every one of us if we choose to if we choose so that it would have effect on us? Now we're talking about the will of a human being. It is somehow generally assumed that the will is a free organ, or a free agent, I should say, not an organ, an agent that is able to make choices all out of itself. But what if it's like this? Though we do have a living spirit, which is in Hebrew called the Ruach, which was given by the Almighty Creator when He did create Adam, which actually has 3 meanings. Originally apparently means dust. Then the second interpretation or translation of the Adam is human being, and the third one being man. Strangely enough, however, in the book of Genesis it says that the human being in Genesis 1 verse 27, I hope I'm saying it right, the human being exists out of female and male, female being the Isha and male referred to as Ish. When the Adam was created out of the dust, it also says that the Almighty blew the Ruach, the spirit of life, in his nostrils, and she became a living being, and called a Nephesh, which means a living spirit. This is the beginning of the human history according to scriptures. And it would have continued in a beautiful way if not for the serpent paying a visit, well planned, a visit to the Garden of Eden, and tempted the woman by certain promise which wasn't at all conformed to what the Almighty Creator has warned the Adam for, both the woman and the man, not to eat from the tree, from the knowledge, not tree of knowledge and good and of good and evil. Such a long word, to trip off my tongue over it. And yet, as Scripture says, they did not heed the warning, and both fell for the trap. Now, what really happened to our minds as a human race has shown to be disastrous when one studies history, no matter from what era and what part or what ethnicity one looks upon it. There has always been strife, there has always been disease, there has been wars for quite a long time now. One should, however, wonder, is there a solution to this age-old human, very human problem that affects the whole planet? It can be, one could stretch it out large scale, one could have all kinds of answers for this problem, but nobody really seems to have a solution. I mean, if a solution was found, a permanent solution that is, if a solution was ever to be found and thought of from any human mind or a group of people, then surely it would have been implemented by now, and we would have kind of a paradise or something that looks like paradise. This is, however, not the case. One does not need to be a genius to realize that life on this planet, or the reality we are sharing, is not perfect, to say in the least. I'm sort of, I'm gonna hang on. Okay, this is going to be part 3. Actually, I should have known I wouldn't be able to finish it in one part. The previous vid, I think I finished it, I sort of got a bit stuck in the subject, so I'll try to